Law Monday, the Buddy Martin Show. Glad to be with you tonight. What a weekend. What a wonderful weekend. And many things to talk about if you're a Gator. Extraordinary group of people together on Saturday night, of which Shane Matthews was one, and got a chance to relive some old great moments and visit some old friends and honor an old sports writer. Not me. There are others who are considered to be old as well. But tonight on the program, Shane will join us. We'll talk about what we're seeing here. We got a breaking story, albeit it's been breaking for a couple of days ago. What's going on with the story about DJ Lagway having a boot on? Well, we have a load of news, but we'll give you what we got and go from there. Also, we have news on one of the players who was thought to be off the team is now on the team. So good news, good things happening just in the nick of time because tomorrow we're heading to Gainesville for Media Day to talk to some coaches and talk to Billy Napier and find out what is going on. And short of that, we always get Shane Matthews. We'll have him tonight. Allie Peak Wilbur will join us. She was a guest on Saturday night at Spurrier's Grille. It's going to be a fun night, folks. Tell your friends and neighbors to come join us and talk about it. And the question on the floor tonight, if you could have dinner with any of the Gator legends, and we had a room full of them, not named Tebow, who would it be at Spurrier's Gridiron? All right, give us your thoughts. Stand by. Meldon Law Monday, and the Buddy Martin Show is on the air right now. Tell your friends and neighbors.
Yes, it's time again for Buddy Martin. Call him up and tell him what you're thinking. But be kind because he's doing the best he can.
Better, stronger, faster.
Mama says that alligators are ornery because they got all them teeth but no toothbrush.
Hey, what if the voice calls while you're gone?
Take a message.
Bye.
You ready, champ? I'm ready for this my whole life.
I'm incapable of small talk. But that's why you love me, right?
Kind of intimidating to be in the presence of so many great athletes.
Hey, glad to be with you tonight here on the Buddy Martin Show. We got breaking news. I don't want to sound like one of those, cliffhanger things where people are trying to get you to jump on board and sign up. But there is some news, a little bit, best we can do tonight on the quarterback situation. We'll also tell you about the night at Saturday night at Gridiron Grill. It was a spectacular evening. I think even Shane Matthews, although it was late for him, I was able to stay awake, and he was one of the speakers. And let's bring him aboard right now and say, good evening to you there, Coach Shane.
What's up, buddy? How you doing?
I'm doing well, thank you. I thought we had a really good time on Saturday night. I got home and didn't think about it because it was so busy, and I got home and went to sleep and come out there. Wow, that was quite a group. I mean, you probably had the opportunity to be in that mix, but for the average Joe, anybody to see the people in that room and hear them talk and watch you guys interact. I was thinking if you could add up the total number of touchdown passes thrown in that room, how many that would be. And of course, you got to speak about Steve Spurrier. We're going to talk about him. We got a little interview with him later on, talking about the evening. He enjoyed himself. What'd you think, Shane?
No, it was very cool. No doubt about it. Obviously, we were it was Tony's little farewell tour through the SEC, having this be his last year, 50 years covering college football in the SEC. And it was cool. I mean, I've known Tony a long time, obviously not as long as you, buddy, because he covered us. And he's always, in my opinion, done a tremendous job, even though he's a Georgia Bulldog, right? He's never really been biased. And, just anytime we can hang with Coach again and reminisce stuff, it's always pretty cool.
I think fair is a good word to put next to Tony's name. I always had a great respect for him. He didn't outright cheer for anybody. I thought it was kind of interesting when he casually mentioned in his opening remarks, and as he should, talking about his first day on the job in Atlanta when they told him to go see Franz Beard who helped hire him, although my friend Van McKenzie had a big role in it. And they said, go see Norm Carlson. And I thought when he said, only thing I knew about Steve Spurrier is that he got beat up pretty bad against the Bulldogs. It didn't take long to get a response for that from a bunch of people, including you. And when you got up there, what did you say?
Well, I don't remember exactly how I phrased it.
I got it on tape if you want me to play it, but
well, it was something along the lines.
We made sure ass it was something like that.
Yeah, I said, Tony, we all know you love your Georgia Bulldogs, but pretty much everybody in this room beat the hell out of y'all when they played.
It was true, and Tony took it well, as he always would, gentleman as he is. Did you learn anything? I really got a kick out of some of the remarks that were made offhandedly. You know Danny better than I do, but I had a rare opportunity to sit down with him and talk about some things that happened almost 30 years ago. But I loved his comment when it was showing the Dorian's got a touchdown clip, that famous pass from him to Doring and to won the Kentucky game and won the SEC for him. And Danny said, I always wondered why it couldn't be Werfel's got a touchdown.
Yeah, no doubt about it. That kind of put Danny and Chris on the map. That, because Chris and Danny and I kind of hung out a little bit afterwards, and we were talking, and we were somehow the whole John Reeves 9 interception game came up, and Danny goes, people forget in that Kentucky game, Terry Dean and I threw 7 interceptions.
That's true.
We still found a way to win it. So obviously, if they wouldn't have won that game and they don't throw that touchdown, who knows what happens? I remember exactly where I was during that game.
Where were you?
I was in Chicago because it was my rookie year, and obviously that game was not on TV, and you couldn't. In those days, buddy, there was no way of listening to the game if you weren't in the area. So I was in the hotel and watching whatever the ESPN game was or whatever national game was. And, they'd go to clips, or you could look at the ticker going across the bottom.
Yeah.
And I was losing my mind. I'm like, how in the hell are we losing to Kentucky?
Yeah.
I was throwing stuff at the TV, and Danny pulled us out.
He did. It was a great night. Here, what's going on in this picture right here? If I can get it over here, hold on a second. See if I can grab it. And all right, let's see. Let's see if can you see that picture?
Oh, let's see. It's Buddy Martin. Let's see. Oh yeah, that's a good one.
Who is that in that picture?
Doring, me, Werfel, and Allie.
Allie Pete Wilbur, who will be on the show later tonight. She was thrilled beyond belief to be there. And of course, her husband, Eric, and of course, her father and grandfather, brother all played for the Gators. And she does a great podcast. I don't know if you've been on her or not, but you should be.
Mm-hmm.
So what was the highlight for you? We're going to play a little interview here with Coach in a minute, but what was the highlight of the evening for you?
I thought it was kind of cool. Tony's wife talking at the end. She kind of broke down, but look, anytime I can be around the Spurrier family, right, it's pretty cool. I'm very close to all the kids. You don't get them all in the same room at the same time very often because everybody's all scattered around the country.
You don't.
But I think that was, I talked to Bub for a while. Obviously, I see Lisa here in town. Get to see Amy usually once or twice during baseball season, a few times during football season. But anytime you can see Miss Jerry and obviously Coach, it's pretty cool.
And there is Amy right there. I thought she looked extraordinary. She's my neighbor now. She and Jay in Panama City. And she did great. And I meant to say, and I forgot to, I wish I had that whole restaurant idea was hers. She was the one who came up with the idea. So, and you're right. I rarely have seen Lisa and Bubba and Amy. In fact, one time in Colorado, they all came out to see with Coach, and we all went to dinner in Colorado. But I rarely see them in the same room. And so it's great to see that. And then, of course, your teammates, your buddies, and the writers. Had Pat Dooley there, and Robbie Andrew, and Gene Fredette, and quite a few of those guys. And I guess the news for the writers was that the coach plans to have a Hall of Fame for writers in the building. There's been some support for that with a typewriter, actually, commemorating the names of people like Tom McEwen, who had a very big role for him, actually helped him get the job with the Bandits. He had a very close relationship with about 8 or 9 writers. And I think we're going to pick 11 people and take that typewriter and put the names of those people on it. That's what coaches call in the Hall of Fame, Florida Hall of Fame. And I thought Coach's remarks about Tony were very appropriate, respectful. He says the greatest sports writer outside of Florida I've ever known, right?
That's right. Yeah. He takes little jabs at people for sure.
Yeah. That's why we love him, though, because he's a good jabber. So there's news today pending. I don't know of what you've heard, but I know the latest breaking news, and we'll have Franz on in a minute, is that Lagway, of course, was wearing a boot. I heard you talk about it with Edgar this morning. Edgar didn't know anything and didn't say anything. But it was, people say, why is it news? Anything to do with Lagway, with his health right now, he could have an ingrown toenail, keep him out of practice. It's going to be big news, Shane, because he is the key, allegedly, to what makes this whole thing work. But I got news for you, and you brought it up today. You hinted it. This is a good football team with a terrific running game, and they could get some wins even without him. Of course, want him, but I think the news is pretty favorable at this point in time. It is really, who was it? JC, who said it was just precautionary, mocking Edgar. That's pretty much what they said. It's precautionary, and we have that information coming from Franz a little bit later on, and it's big. I mean, this football team, and I was able to sit down with somebody very close to the program, shall we say, and go over the position groups. Check. Just like we've done on this show many times. A couple of questions here and there, like we've had. But then you start thinking about those questions, and you look at what they got at linebacker, at, just every position. They've got something, Shane, something everywhere.
Yeah, I mean, we're all ready for the season, no question about it. I've had concerns ever since the shoulder injury. I don't think the shoulder's ever going to be 100%. And then this calf thing, I'm hoping it's not serious. It's not good news. I don't know whether it's precautionary or what. It's just not good news. I don't know if I've not heard anything. I'd heard he was in a boot last week. I'm like, whatever, but I don't know what the injury is or any of that stuff. How long? I mean, I highly doubt he's going to be practicing this week.
We're going to find out on Wednesday, aren't we?
Yeah.
Tomorrow we get Billy and some other coaches. I think it's going to be who's the offensive coordinator and tight end coach? I'm sorry, I'm drawing a blank.
Russ Callaway.
Russ Callaway is there.
So here's my biggest concerns, buddy, is, everybody's talking about, well, he didn't really need to go through spring practice. As long as he's ready to play against Long Island. We forget he's only played in 7 games, right? It's not like it's Tebow coming back for his second or third year, or Danny coming back for his second or third year, or me coming back for my second or third year. He needs to practice. He needs to play. I'm hoping he can be healthy, somewhat healthy, to play this year. I'm very concerned.
I heard your show when you said that today, and I agree with you. Like I said, anything that happens to his health, whether it's a hangnail, it keeps him off the field, is going to be news and something that we have to be aware of. You also talked about who might be the backup. Did you ever decide?
Well, I don't know enough about it. I mean, I know they like the Aiden Warner kid. He was here last year. Obviously, he's a bright kid. Probably knows the system. I think from a talent standpoint, I think I would go with Harrison Bailey. I think he's a really good thrower of the football.
Got some experience too.
Yeah, he's played. He's a 6-year guy. But I'm not going to really worry about any of that. Obviously, they're going to get reps here until DJ comes back. And again, DJ may roll up and run out there Wednesday. We don't know.
Yeah.
It's never good news when you're young and haven't played a whole lot.
True.
To always keep having this news.
We're going to find out about it more, but just out of curiosity, I looked it up, and you see how much the teams that Harrison Bailey's played for?
Yeah, he's played at Tennessee, Houston, Louisville,
and at UNLV.
UNLV.
Yeah, it got a 6-year of eligibility during COVID. He completed 108 out of 171 for almost over 1,100 yards, 10 touchdowns, and 3 picks. Anyway, 6'5", 230, pretty good size kid. And, I guess he can keep it between the white lines, right? I mean, he can manage the game, could be okay, you think? Or
I think he's extremely talented. He was an elite 11 quarterback, buddy, coming out of high school.
Yeah.
So, I mean, I don't think anybody should – I mean, I think people should be worried, but like I said, it's out of your control. There's nothing we can do about it. And let's wait and see what happens.
That's what fans do. They have a lot of angst, as you know. But I feel very good about this football team, and I know they're looking at, the gauntlet of probably at least 3 losses. And I'd be happy with 3 losses. They get a little bit lucky, as we've said, just a little bit lucky, Shane. If they can get – and I've heard you cry out from the press box, please, somebody give me a stop. If they get an extra stop and a half next year on each game, it's totally different based on what we've seen, unless they have, obviously, injuries. But that's true of anybody. Injuries will take anybody out of it. So I think he opens tomorrow on a good note. He got the other defensive back, too.
Bijan Johnson was cleared or no charges are going to be pressed from his arrest.
And so they picked him up. And so right now, I'd say unless he's in the cast tomorrow, on Wednesday, when they start, I think this is also a good start and a good feel for a lot of people and a fun time. I'll be glad when you start having some fun. I'm sick and tired of you going to the games and being mad and angry and tired and grumpy. I want you to be happy a little bit, Shane, for crying out loud.
Well, I'm not grumpy all the time.
I know that. You actually do handle it pretty well. You're balanced pretty well, and I was going to kid you about that. But it sure is easier when we can have a little something to talk about, and something that's to see. You can't make it up if it's not there. But let's see what the folks are saying tonight. Okay, let's see if you want to tackle any of these. What's Spurrier's restaurant like? I give it a 9.5 on a 10, but basically for me. I can't speak for everybody. Shane, what do you think?
He's asking about the food or the restaurant.
What's the restaurant like? It's a museum.
It's a very unique. I don't know if there's anything like it. Because you go to I don't know if they still have Ditka's, Shanahan's, those type of restaurants, Michael Jordan. Whoever these celebrities. This is clearly a museum but it also has good food. But if you love the Steve Spurrier, doesn't have to just be the Gators, because there's a lot of South Carolina Duke stuff in there, Bandits. It's pretty much every bit of the memorabilia the guy has collected or whatever he's done. And then a lot of my stuff's in there, a lot of Danny's stuff's in there. There's nothing like it. It's pretty cool. It's very cool, I should say. If you've never been there, you need to go.
Bruce Green says DJ injury is very concerning. Yes, we said that earlier. Our old buddy Nat Blaylock, we haven't talked to. Where you been, Nat? The Mirror of Alachua. Good evening, buddy, and Shane. Good evening to you. Good to see you. John Pond, I had as a start out as a tease. If you could have dinner with one Gator legend, and I was lucky to be able to have dinner with a whole bunch of them tonight, who would have not named Tebow? Who would you pick? So now Mr. Sip says he didn't know the restaurant existed. Well, Mr. Sip, You went under a rock, okay? I mean, my gosh, they're getting ready to celebrate their 4th anniversary.
Yeah.
4th anniversary, and as I've heard, I can't prove this, among other things, it might be the most famous, most well-doing celebrity restaurant in the country. That's what I've heard. Now, I can't prove it, but so David Baldoso said DJ Lagway is injured again, and I understand how people feel that way, and I don't know if that's the right term or not. He got nicks and dings, and maybe he is, maybe he isn't, but that is discouraging for a lot of fans, Shane.
I mean, I'm discouraged. My theory on this, buddy, people can agree or disagree. It ain't going to change my mind. And this has nothing to do with DJ's leg injury or foot injury, whatever it is right now. I personally think DJ is too big. I think he needs to get down to about 230 or 225.
Oh, you mean not to be too heavy.
Well, it's not like he's out of shape. He's
Well,
just
not. No.
No. I mean, he's a big man, but I think sometimes the more you train and do things, and you're injury prone. Look, I've never lifted really weights in my entire life. Coach Spurrier did not require his quarterbacks to lift.
Yeah.
And I'm not just using me for example. I never got hurt. Now I've seen guys my size get hurt. I think you either you're injury prone or you're not. Just like I said, you're blessed with strong arms. You're blessed being very, very smart. I think some people are just injury prone. However, I do think these guys overtrain too much in today's world.
Mm-hmm.
If I were coaching him, I would be like, look, we're only going to do a little bit of throwing in the off season, and we're going to be ready to go because you don't need to throw a football all year long. I've told this story multiple times, and I hate to use my career because DJ's way more talented than I was. When spring football was over, buddy, I was done. I would start throwing a football with my teammates maybe 2 weeks at the most before camp started. When I went to the NFL, I threw about 3 days before training camp started, and I was ready to go. I just don't understand. And the lifting and the running, obviously you got to pay. I don't know if they do conditioning tests now. In the NFL, you got to do a conditioning test. I did whatever I needed to do to get through that test. I didn't worry about how much I squatted. I didn't care how much I bench pressed. I didn't care about any of that. And I don't think a quarterback, none of that has anything to do with playing quarterback. I just think it can harm you. That's my 2 cents. And you're going to have other people say, well, you need to be strong to do this. I get it. But I just don't understand. I think these people need hobbies.
Well, it just becomes a fandom. Let me just say this. I want to get to the interview with Coach Spurrier. And coming up, I've got Allie Peak Wilbur going to join us too. She was thrilled to be there. Shane, your dad was in my era. He's a little younger, but we were taught, and I'm talking dark ages, in the 50s and 60s. You don't go swim. I was a pitcher. You don't go swimming when you're a pitcher.
You don't go swimming the day you play baseball, right?
That's right.
I grew up with that in Mississippi. I was like, this is the dumbest thing ever. We're going to swim all day long.
You don't ever lift a weight. Never lift a weight, ever.
Yeah.
So that's what it was. And when football came, I pumped a little iron, about 25 pounds. That was about it. But all right, let me just tell you, this show is being brought to you by our friends at Meldon Law. I just talked to Jeffrey. He is having a blast. Yeah, he is traveling across several continents. Last time I heard, he was going to Portugal, which is where I think he is now. He and Patricia are having the time of their life. They'll be in Spain and Portugal and other places, and I think he'll be on about it. About a week or 10 days. He wants to come on and tell us all about his trip. I'm sure he does. It sounds like he's having a blast. He also likes to do law, and you should be aware of that because sometime or another you're going to need law in your life. Be a lawyer is ultimately you always do, and I'd like to do business with people I know and friends and Gators if possible, and he meets all those requirements. 4 locations to serve you, including Ocala, Gainesville, Wilson, and Lake City. And he likes to tell people that he's very proud to be a Gator and the only official law firm for the University of Florida. Meldon Law, they won't back down. All right, Shane, I'm going to see if I can play this. I asked Coach to talk to me about what it was like for him and talk about his museum that he's very proud of. Let's see if we can get this to play. find out. Hold on a second.
Steve Spurrier was honored on Saturday night, one of many in a star-studded lineup of people. My goodness, you talk about how many Heismans are in that room. I was trying to figure out how many touchdown passes were in that room, Coach. It was partly in honor of you and Tony Barnhart Saturday night at a terrific setting in the Steve Spurrier Grill. What'd you think?
Well, it was a little different.
All right. Go on, Coach.
Steve Spurrier was honored on Saturday
we know
night.
That already.
Many in a star-studded lineup of people. My goodness, you talk about how many Heismans are in that room. I was trying to figure out how many touchdown passes were in that room, Coach. It was partly in honor of you and Tony Barnhart Saturday night at a terrific setting in the Steve Spurrier Grill. What'd you think?
Well, it was a little different from most events we've had at the restaurant. Tony Barnhart, as you mentioned, is a sports writer out of, I guess, Atlanta. He went to Georgia, but he's not pro-Georgia about everything. He's pretty, what you call neutral, I guess, with all the schools. And he's well respected. He never writes a bunch of bad crap about anybody. So anyway, he's going around the SEC places and have a little retirement dinner or whatever it was. So we got a few people come out. Shane Matthews, Danny Warfel was there, and a bunch of sports writers, you and Pat Dooley, Robbie Andrew, and so forth. So it was a nice event, and I think Tony and his wife had a good time there, and felt like it was definitely worth it.
Talking to somebody who was in attendance, Allie Pete Wilbur, he's just what a great night to be there with all those people and have your family there too. Both your daughters, son popped in for a minute. It was just a special night for about 35 people, and I was very honored to be there, and I appreciated it very much. Now, we had a little thing, probably it's not a big deal to most people, but I think it is. I'm so excited about what your idea is. You're getting together, forming your own little, I guess, like a little Hall of Fame of Florida sports, and having a typewriter up there to represent it.
Yeah, somebody gave me an idea about why don't we have a Florida Sports Writers Hall of Fame. We can't, the guys outside of Florida are not eligible, so you have to write for a paper here in town, in the state, I mean. And obviously guys like Tom McEwen and Hubert Mizell, to go all the way back to the 60s and covered the Gators up through 2000 or so. Anyway, and sports writers, they last a long time, as you know, buddy. You've been doing it, what now, 50 or 60 years?
55.
55. So, yeah. If you do a pretty good job, you don't get fired as a sports writer. So yeah. But obviously you guys have done a good job.
Well, thank you.
And so we thought we'd put together a little Hall of Fame, State of Florida Sports Writers Hall of Fame, and have some pictures in the restaurant there and so forth.
That's great. That's awesome.
Yeah.
So good. Appreciate it, because they were such a big part of your career.
Oh, big part. I think I was telling you, or I was telling Pat Dooley today, back when I was an assistant coach at Duke University in the early 80s, they started that new USFL spring football league in Tampa. And Tom McEwen told John Bassett, the owner, why don't you go up and interview Steve Spurrier? His offense up here is 4th or 5th in the nation right now. And we need, hire a young coach that can move the ball and score some points. So he went up there and interviewed me and hired me.
Oh, there you go. I mean, the guy is such a remarkable guy. He literally is the living legend, isn't he? And when he's in a room, he lights it up, Shane.
Yeah, there's nobody like him. So unique, did it his way, and that's why we love him.
What was it like playing for him?
It was fun. Like I said, he's totally different than any other coach. Practiced different, met different. We traveled different. We did everything different. He did it his way, and I love that about him. He didn't care. When you're done with your work, go home. He's not one of these coaches that made his staff and everybody sit there till 2:00 in the morning. And he coached with a swagger. I think most of his teams, or about all his teams, played with a swagger.
I think you said in a comment that you were always told, he always said, if you coach and you're successful and you do it right, when you go home or whatever, guys will come visit you. Your players come to visit you. You made that remark the other night, and you now understand what that is.
Yeah, he had a comment, and I don't know if it's one of coaches that he made up, or he used to always quote John Wooden all the time, and then Sun Tzu or whatever, the Art of War.
Yeah.
But he always said, you've done something right as a coach if years later your players want to come back and drink a beer with you.
Yeah, there you go.
And I mean, to drink a beer with him, with other players, it is a great experience because the stories, and he's so damn funny.
What's your favorite one?
Oh gosh. There's so many, buddy. I can remember some of them, but like Doring and Bates and Cooper Carlisle and Noah, those guys remember the stuff better than I do.
Yeah.
Travis McGriff's pretty good at some of the stories. One day we should try to all get together and write them down so we don't forget them.
There's a few of them around, and this lady knows a few, and her husband knows a few. And she was there on Saturday night, Allie. It was quite a night. I could tell by your tone of your text. You were kind of blown away to be there with you and Eric on Saturday night.
I was. I kept saying I felt like I got on the wrong text message chain accidentally. Like I was like, shoot, we didn't mean to invite Allie to this. Crap, how did that happen? I felt very unworthy of being in that room. But, I caught the tail end of what you guys were just talking about. And I actually said to Eric yesterday, I was like, I feel like we have to do something to record the stories before the keepers of the stories aren't here to share them with us anymore. I do feel like media has changed so much that in 20 years, is there really going to be the keepers of the stories anymore? It's not like it's not the same. And so it makes me want to make sure that everything is written down because that's how you create new fans, right? Is by teaching them the history of the program. And I do want to make sure that doesn't get forgotten.
It's a function of getting older. Even Shane Matthews realized now, a lot of the things you thought you remember forever, you have to remember to go back and you didn't know you were dealing with history at every moment, Yeah. And Shane, you have some things I'm sure a lot of people want to know about your first SEC championship game, and what happened there in the end. I heard Danny say, I had a great interview with Danny, asking him things I've never asked you before. And I talked about going to the shotgun. Something I always wanted him to do, and I used to tell Coach about it, and he didn't pay attention to me. But we know what happened after FSU. He went to the shotgun, and he said it gave me just a little extra time I needed, to be able to get that. He had, of course, beat Alabama out of the shotgun, and then went on to win the national championship. But I was always amazed, Shane, at the way Spurrier got in the head of his quarterbacks. And I asked to Danny, I said, you guys are like one person. When he run the clock down to the last 2 seconds before he snapped it, changed the play, you had it, Shane, where he changed the play right the last second, and because he knew he could do it. And Danny said, yeah, it's like I knew what was in his mind. They had the same brain. Would you get that same experience, Shane?
Yeah, Coach and I are a lot alike, believe it or not. We're kind of hard-headed, but as much as we met with him and were around him, you knew what he was kind of thinking or what he wanted to do to the opponent. And he gave us the freedom at any time to change the play. Once I never did the whole look over to the sideline thing when I played. They kind of did that after I left a little bit for him to change the play. But there was nobody like him. You talking about like stories. We have great stories, but I have probably 25 voicemails on my phone in the last 10 or 15 years. Maybe not long, maybe 10 years. That I was trying to clean up my voicemails the other day. I'm like, I can't delete these. They're hilarious.
I know. Yeah, I'd like to hear those sometimes. I have a few of those myself. And Allie, I'm sure you do too. Allie, nobody believes more orange and blue than Allie. Nobody's got the blood running through her veins from every which way from her grandfather on down, and she's had the joy of it. And I was experiencing through you vicariously what it must feel like for you, Allie, to be in that room, having your brother, your father, your husband, everybody being Gators, and seeing these incredible men come to life. It was like being in Field of Dreams or walking out of the cornfields, right?
Well, it's funny you mentioned the shotgun, because during this, I actually leaned over to Eric and I was like, I learned what the shotgun was when I was 12 years old because Florida went to the shotgun. Mm-hmm. That was I was in 5th grade, which my girls are going into 5th grade. So that's like a weird, thing for me. But that moment meant something to me too, just in a different way than it did for you guys because I was littler. But I was sitting there thinking too, it's about the people. Because every person that got up there and spoke, every person that was in that room has done so many things outside of the on the field accomplishments too. I mean, it was a room of highly accomplished men who have dedicated their lives to the University of Florida, not just on the field, but off. And it is a little bit overwhelming.
I would imagine, Shane, if you felt pretty proud to be a part of that group.
Yeah, I'm not a big public speaker, and when I do speak, I don't write anything down. But I'm like, damn, I need to write something down for this.
Got a whole bunch of notes. They fell out on the floor. I couldn't believe it.
And again, I knew I was only going to speak for like 3 minutes because that's what Tony said, just only about 3 minutes. And so I'd played golf that morning, and one of the other guys, when I was waiting for him to take, hit the ball putt or whatever, I was writing down some things and kind of put it together quickly and folded it up and put it in my back pocket like Coach used to make us do our playbook.
Allie, I'm sure you probably heard about DJ Lagway. There's a little of a breaking news story. Fans have been working it all day. And also another player we thought was gone is here. And Franz Beard is here, taking them all away from his basketball book to update us real quick before you guys go. Franz, what did you learn about DJ Lagway and the guy who came back today?
Strained calf on DJ's part. Nothing serious, but they're going to have to keep him immobile, obviously. You don't want to aggravate it and have it turn into something serious. So you.
Yep.
All right, what happened to it?
Franz had enough of you, buddy.
Yeah, no, that wasn't his fault. That was mine. All right, go ahead. I'm sorry, Shane. Franz, go ahead. Franz, he's off again. Let's see if we can get him this time. And Franz, you there? I think he's having problems with his internet. So, all right, just to finish that thought. Big thing, they did get Dijon back. I call him Mustard. And I thought he was gone. And now, of course, the news is we don't know for sure, but what Franz's source said was that it was a strained calf muscle. But like Shane and I were talking before, it's still a big deal anytime it's anything to do with health with DJ Lagway, right? Allie?
I mean, you're saying you hope that this isn't an indicator of the health of DJ Lagway?
It does. I said people are saying, well, don't worry about it. It's just a calf muscle. Franz is back. And yeah.
Your starting quarterback gets a hangnail, you're probably concerned about it because that's
what I said,
the way that happens. But am I overly concerned? No. Do I love hearing that our quarterback is in a boot going into camp? No. But I'm hoping it's something minor. Hopefully he can be 100%. And we want him to get in as much of camp as he can, especially with the amount of time he missed for spring. If nothing more than the building those relationships with the younger wide receivers. That's reps.
Well, 5,000 people are waiting for France to tell us what's going on. France, I'm sorry about that.
Well, like, as I said before, it's one of these things that demands immobilizing because you don't want to aggravate it. You don't want to have something that is indeed minor turn into something that's far worse. And as we talked earlier today, buddy, it's kind of like surgery. Minor surgery is when it happens to someone else. I'm a firm believer. Every time they've told me it's minor surgery, I don't believe them. If it hurt, it was major. So he's going to be fine. And somebody made a point on the boards here. We hope he's not injury prone, and that's got to be a concern because of last year. Last year he played beat up. He gets his shoulder taken care of. This, we got to be very careful with this young man. He's a special guy, but you got to take care of your guys.
Yeah.
The other news is Dijon Johnson all charges have been dropped. I was told that today that was expected because they went ahead, they did the checks, everything. They found out that the gun didn't belong to him, the marijuana, whatever like that. It all, his story checked out anyway. So all the charges have been dropped. He has been completely reinstated on the team, and he'll be back. And of course, that's important because you've got another experienced corner. And I like the idea that you have Devin Moore, Cormani McLean, Dijon, three very, very experienced corners. You got Sharif Denson, who can play corner, who's playing the star position right now. So I feel a lot better about the depth of the secondary with this guy back, another experienced guy. And besides the defensive line depth, the depth in the secondary is the only real question for me, whether they've got enough. And so
let me stop you for a second, Franz. I've told Allie I'd keep her 5 minutes, and she's been 15 already. And Shane's got to have his milk and cookies. You hang in there. This news just broke. Ryan Sandberg has died. He's 65 years old. Ryan Sandberg, the second baseman with the Cubs. He's died just tonight. So this is the news. Seems like every day it's somebody. So I'll say this. Let me let Allie go if she has to go. If you don't, stay around. And Shane, can you hang in for a second? Do you need to go?
No, I'm good.
All right, good. All right. Go ahead, Franz.
Well, defensive line and the secondary, the depth at those two places, because you're going to have to rely on young people. Those are the only two areas that I think are real concerns. So getting one more experienced guy back there, Dijon, I thought played the last 4 games very, very well. Shane sees it from a quarterback standpoint when he's up there and he's analyzing the game, and I thought he played well the last 4 games of the season. So getting him back is important.
Allie, a lot of positive things being said about these Gators. Are you feeling the vibe?
Yeah. I mean, I think that this is going to be a very talented team. I think they all have their heads on straight as far as it, seems. And I'm excited to see when we kick off in August. September is going to be a really interesting test. Let's see where we come out. There's 4 games in September when we start the season. Do we come out 4-0? Are we 2-2? I think we're going to be able to tell a lot about the larger season by that 4-game stretch right there. And, if we can 3-1, 4-0, we're looking at a 9-win season.
No, I agree. And by the way, I asked somebody, the best source I could get about this team, and the same boxes we're checking off every night. Franz and Shane and Allie. Okay, how about this? We've convinced now they got linebackers. The secondary is much better now with the Cormani McLean back there. I went through these boxes and checking things off, and I said, "What about the special teams? I know they got Trey. They've got TJ. They got a guy named Smack playing. It should be a linebacker, punting, obviously, and they look like they're good at the kicking game, but I don't know about the punter from Mission. And this guy who's seen him say he's very, very good. That's what he said. Very, very good.
I've seen the punter from Michigan. He worked a camp that Eric was at in either the end of March or April, and he was really, really good. And special teams will be as good as we allow time for it during practice. So I think that's TBD, but it should be. Our specialists are good. How we, run our special teams play will be yet to be determined, but we have the ability for our special teams to be really good.
And Shane, when you mix that in together with the stops that you can get, we said if you get a stop and a half a game that you weren't getting, that's a lot of that's a lot of stops and even the sacks. And this defense can be, I don't know, Shane, will you think it can be above average?
Yeah, I think so. I think they need to stay healthy, though. I think we need to find somebody to really get after the quarterback. We all know Sapp and Caleb Banks came on those last few games. Hopefully they can build on that for this year. I've not liked our front seven the last 5, 6, 7 years. Hopefully this year I do like them.
Yep. By the way, a little bit of sad news, or I guess happy news in a way, is that Deion Sanders has had bladder cancer, and he's okay. He's had removed today a tumor in his bladder, and he says he's going to coach this year. So we're always glad to hear about those health things can take you out in a hurry, as we know, Franz, at our age. All right, Ali, any final thoughts before I let you slip away here? What's your next podcast?
Going to record some stuff tomorrow morning. I'm sure we'll all be talking about DJ's injury and, starting to kind of preview some of these position groups and some of these early games so we can talk about the ball that's about to be played.
Question
You're going to be up tomorrow for the media day?
I am not. I will not be up tomorrow for that, but I rely on y'all to fill me in on what happens there.
You got her sources. By the way, she now has another boy in the house, too. So just 4 girls. She now has – I'm going to talk about Eric. Tell them about it.
We do. About a year ago, we took custody of our nephew. He's 15 now. He's going into his sophomore year. He plays some football. So they just started camp. So Eric was there from 7:30 to 3:30 coaching him up. And he came home and he was like, there's not enough competition. These kids are soft. And I guess, some kid that carpools with us is a freshman and he watched him pull himself out of conditioning. And Eric went over and was like, what's the matter? And he's like, I think I'm going to throw up. And Eric's like, so keep running, throw up. It's fine. Keep going. I'm like, dear God, is Eric going to end up being fired for being, too intense? But he's enjoying it.
This group here, huh? How about how sharp is that group?
There you go.
Yeah.
Does he punt? Does he punt, Allie?
He actually is a long snapper. So that is how, as a freshman, he got on the field playing varsity. Is that Eric was like, listen, we're going to teach you a long snap because you need to be valuable to your team. And the varsity long snapper broke his arm 2 games into the season, and Landon knew how to long snap. So he got to move up to varsity. And it was great when a parenting lesson comes to fruition, because he went into this whole thing about how you need to know how to play as many positions as possible. It makes you more valuable to your team. Yeah. How you can contribute, and then it actually happened. So that was kind of cool to see, because sometimes you don't get to see those parenting lessons come to life so quickly.
Allie, I'll just let you answer this one and then let you go. I had the question about Saturday night, was that your special night? If you had an opportunity, and whoever, the Gator fans had a chance to have dinner with a legend or one of the people who were there, including Shane and Danny Werfel and et cetera, who would you like to have dinner with? And I know you have friends, but if it wasn't someone like Danny Werfel, who would it be?
Probably Tony. I mean, I feel like he's seen it all, right?
Tony Barnhart.
Yeah. I mean,
okay.
He's seen it all from so many different perspectives, from so many different teams. I feel like he could probably, the amount of stories he could tell about the programs in the SEC would probably blow my mind. But that's a hard question, because I know,
because you were too close to it. I understand.
Room.
Yeah, I understand.
For sure.
But that was the question for everybody else. I thought I'd see what you. All right, thank you, Allie. Catch her on her special podcast, and peek at the Gators. Tell me what it is again.
It's a peek inside Gator football.
I'm
You
sorry,
can
I
check
should
it out
know
on
that. I've
YouTube.
said it 1,000 times, but
That is
your brain cells are dying out.
You had too many concussions, buddy.
I have, yes. Yes, I have had those too, by the way. All
He
right,
played
thank you.
back in the era of leather
right, guys.
leather helmets, so
Thank
I
you.
mean that kind of stuff happened.
We
back
played
then.
without helmets, friends. We didn't have
See
so,
you guys later.
all right, thank you. Appreciate it. All right, Shane, give me, other than Lagway, all right, which we all know is a concern, we know this is a good football team, can run the ball, they have maybe better defense. What are the 2 or 3 things you like about this team besides the running game and besides Lagway that give you hope this team can carry its own weight?
I think from an offensive standpoint, this team has more guys that can make people miss and score touchdowns than I've seen in a long time.
Really?
Yeah. I mean, I got to throw the running backs in there too, but
amazing.
The last couple of years we throw hitches on the outside and guys aren't making anybody miss and getting any yards. We throw a slant, we get tackled. I think this crew has enough skill level, highly athletic. That's what excites me. There's nothing better than a feeling as a quarterback knowing you can throw a shallow cross and that 6-yard completion can turn into 65, right?
Yeah.
I love Tim. How many times did he throw the shallow cross to Percy that turned into 80-yard touchdowns?
Yeah, well, Percy's Percy. That's different.
Right.
You're right. You're absolutely right.
And we got guys that can do that now. And
that's exactly what I was going to say. You can elaborate on what Ben calls them, Wilson law firm, the players they got at wide receiver. That depth could be really something to behold, Shane.
Yeah. And depth's great. I'm anxious to see we always play a lot of guys. I'm anxious to see what guys they're going to play at the wide receiver position. I know which ones I'd probably play, but
who would you play?
You got to rotate them in today's world. People hurt their feelings, and they're gone. Go to the transfer portal. So, look, this team has a chance. I think they're going to be really good offensively. Defensive, I think they can be really good as well.
All right, Shane, I'll let you go. We're going to do this tomorrow morning before the practice, and I'll catch you then. And thanks for being on the program. Good job on Saturday night.
Y'all have a good night.
Thanks, Shane. Good to see you.
Franz, take me home. Tell me a little bit about your reaction to Saturday night, and then what's going to be your first question tomorrow to Billy.
Well, Saturday night was fun for me, and I felt honored that Tony included me in his list of people to invite. We share a common friend, the late, great Dean Smith, and people don't realize Tony was a basketball writer when he went to the Atlanta Journal-Constitution. And obviously, football wound up being his calling card, but he was a fine basketball writer back in the day when he worked for Smith Barrier at the Greensboro Daily News. Worked on the other side where he's working was the late great David Lamb. Lammy was skinny back in those days.
Oh, buddy. I knew him back then. I tried to hire him back when I was in Cocoa. I knew all about that skinny David Lamb.
Yeah, obviously there was better living through good restaurants along the way Lammy was there at the same time, and Tony was started out as a fine basketball writer, evolved into a great football writer, and one of the things I always admired about him, buddy, was wherever he has shown up, he always shows up in a coat and a tie. And he does that because Mr. Bisher always showed up in a coat and a tie. That Furman Bisher grew up in an era when, as we did, when sports writers, you went to the game and you were well dressed. And of course, so were the fans in those days too. you and I remember when you wouldn't go to a Florida game without at least wearing your tie.
Sure.
So, but it was a special night, and it was good hearing the stories. I didn't realize the depth of the relationship with Tony and Spurrier, and so that was really good interaction there. Hearing that, it was fun to sit around with Shane.
Greatest sports writer in the world who wasn't from Florida.
That's what he said. Yeah, exactly. And I just felt honored to be there. Gene Frenette's there, and Gene's been around a long time. I've done a lot of great work, and I'm there with you, and Dooley was there, and Robbie Andrew as well, and I felt like, my gosh, I'm bringing up the caboose here, with all these guys around.
You carry your own weight.
And but it was really, really great. Got to talk to Bubba Spurrier for a while. Got to talk, sat at the table with Steve and Jerry Spurrier, and my gosh, we had some, had a chance to really talk about with Steve about some things. And Danny and I had talked earlier, and Danny said, Danny even used my line, buddy. I said, why is it, he's there with Dory, and I said, why is it nobody ever says Werfel threw a touchdown? It says Doring threw a touchdown.
That's a good line.
And Danny stole my line, which I'm happy he did.
It did, but he gave you enough to write about that. At least you do is give him one line. But it was, and there was such a great camaraderie, I guess is the word I'm looking for.
Yeah, it was
happy to be there. It was a happy bunch of Gators. My friend Joey used to call, say, is there a happy bunch of Gators down there? Well, Saturday night in Spurrier's Gridiron Grille, there were a happy bunch of Gators.
And I got to give credit to another guy that was there last night, and that's this Martin guy, Buddy somebody or another, who's been around quite a few years and chronicled. I think you have had written more words about the Florida Gators than any writer alive. And
probably so.
There's a lot to be.
How old I am, so.
Well, that's kind of like I am with basketball. People say, you've written a lot of basketball stuff. I said, well, I've been writing it for so daggum long.
About that book next time around. We're out of time tonight about that book. Everybody's asking me, when's the book?
Final stuff will be out. Final stuff will be in Carlton's hands in the next, I'd say 48 hours.
Carlton was just here. There we go, as a matter of fact.
And let's see, his stuff. Jeffrey, I gave Jeffrey Jeffrey Melton's going to have a little part in there. And, I asked Jeffrey today, Jeffrey sent me something. He said, what do you think? I said, give me your emotional stuff. I said,
let's 15 seconds, so we're going to get out of here. Go ahead.
Give me your emotional stuff. Tell me about how you felt when because he was there on the plane with them when they made the 14-point comeback there at South Carolina and stuff. So it's going to be a good book, and I'm just happy that maybe a couple of you guys might even want to buy it. So
never know. We'll make sure you get a chance.
Never know about those things.
Yeah, great stuff, Franz. Thanks very much for your good reporting tonight, and we'll catch up to you tomorrow at the press conference. All right?
I will be there. That is
all right. Sure. The great Franz Beard. Appreciate it. All right, folks. Let me tell you about Titan MRI and Imaging. They have now 3 locations, soon 4 to serve you. 2 in Gainesville with Park Avenue, and now the Millennium Center. 1 in Lake City, serving all Columbia County, and Valdosta. As I was driving down from Panama City and passing by the Valdosta sign, I thought to myself, well, there's a Titan MRI and Imaging close by here. Same great customer service. They accept insurance. You can go through their convenient self-pay options. Titan MRI and Imaging offers MRIs, CAT scans, X-rays, ultrasounds, easy scheduling with lots of options, including evenings if you need them to be able to handle your work. So that large MRI machine, which I love for patients' comfort, would like those bigger ones. No ERs, no hospitals, no coming soon to Ocala to serve Marion County and the surrounding area. Titan MRI, it's your choice. Folks, thank you tonight for listening and watching. I'm Buddy Martin. We'll be back on again on Wednesday. Tomorrow night, they'll catch Lauren Meadows and Rob Brown, the guys, and condolences to Rob Brown, who lost his dad as well. So thanks to our guest tonight. Great to hear all those great voices again. Have a good night, and we'll back at you in 48 hours.